Well, I'm looking here at the, let's see, Starlink. See if we have any obstructions right at the moment. Visibility. Look at visibility. There's a sort of a satellite coverage thing on visibility. And what it's showing me, it's that there are no obstructions. Whoop, little one there. Little tiny obstruction. The antenna has been moved to the roof. And so the visibility should be much better now. I will point out that I've got a red, sometimes a yellow, sometimes a green on OBS. And I've got an error up on YouTube saying it's not getting enough video. We're supposed to have about 10 megabits per second uplink on this thing. So, good evening to all. I am Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, and I'm just a toothless old guy right now. Tell you what's going on. I had a tooth extracted up here that was giving me quite a bit of trouble, and so they extracted the tooth, and it didn't dry socket or anything like that. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, but for some reason the gum around it and up onto the top of my mouth has gotten seriously inflamed, and what my dentist calls angry. And anyway, it's very painful. So he's giving me a mouthwash. He calls his Miracle Mouthwash. It was actually put together by a compounding pharmacy here in town that put this stuff together, and it does alleviate the pain. I have to be very careful what I eat, that whatever I eat is liquid or semi-liquid or very soft, like we can get rice pudding or cottage cheese or something like that. I use Soylent, which is a meal in a bottle, and have for quite some time just for convenience, but that is being quite a bit of a lifesaver right now. The net of this is I'm probably losing weight. I hope so, because I've got a lot to lose, you know. Unlike somebody who has nothing to lose, I have a lot to lose. I could lose 100 pounds and still be healthy. The other problem I ran into when putting the Starlink antenna on the roof, I put my knee down on the roof. And it was one of those days when it got up well into the 90s here. I've never seen it 100 here, but it got up well into the 90s, which in itself is rare. And I've got an incredible burn on my knee. At one point, the scab looked just like a map of Australia, including Tasmania. But it's been healing, so it's going in. Now, I cannot say the same thing about my tooth. The tooth socket is healing, but the gums are not, and I don't know why. Usually mouth sores, things like that, get healed pretty quickly. Not in this case, so I don't know what's going on. Well, we had some important things to do tonight. We're going to give away the KE0OG multimeter, this one right here, a really nice multimeter. And we got a nice number of entries here. And I'll shuffle these up and we'll pick one. And then this month's, for the August drawing, this will be the mid-level SDR play RSP-DX. RSP is Receive Signal Processor, and it's the DX version. And it's got 3 different antenna type inputs that you can use, a BNC and 2 SMA. And this is a very nice radio. I am using right here, my station SDR radio is the RSP-1A. which I purchased with Channel Fund some time ago. This right here came from SDR Play. And I also have the Duo from SDR Play, but this is the mid-level one. And so this will be the giveaway. This is an A1 super incredible digital signal processing radio. It is a major good receiver. And I mean, we're not talking the kinds of bells and whistles that the NSA might use, but you can pick any 10 megahertz of the spectrum to put up on your screen at a time and look at what goes on. And that is like, you could go from, say, 3 to 13 megahertz if you want, or maybe you want to go 7 to plus 10, 17, and look at the different ham bands. The receiving software, the house software for this, is SDR Uno, and you can get it for free on their website. And it will, it has presets for the ham bands and presets for all the shortwave bands. But this thing actually goes all the way up to 2 gigahertz. So you can use this for quite a variety of things. It's a really nice radio. If I can get it out. Here it is. So it's got 2 antenna connections, and it's got a steel case. And it's got a BNC connection, which is the easiest one to use. Okay, and you just connect it to your computer by a type A/B USB cord, which is the same kind of cord you use to attach to HP printers. And it also has a little RF in port right here, which is for a 10 megahertz signal from a GPS disciplined oscillator, which is way beyond ham radio level. You don't need to worry about it at all. But this, let's get it in so the right information shows in the back here. Again, this is receiver only, okay? It's receiver only. And quite a receiver it is. So that's the August drawing. What we will be drawing tonight is the July drawing, and that will be for the KE0OG meter right there. Let's see what people are saying. I apologize for my voice, but I'm a toothless old monster right now until I can get my dentures working again. The problem is that my jaw's swollen right here, and it's pushing the teeth down on this side just a little bit, and that's what the dentures grab onto. And the partials on the top, I have a full denture on the bottom, and because it's swollen, it bangs against the other denture, hence the soft food only. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Jeff, Optical Man Jeff, KE0OG has jumped in. And let's see. Hello to August from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it's clear and 90. We had 105 degrees on Tuesday. Right here, it is 76 degrees outside right now and 71 inside. And my wife and I last week, when I had to apologize for no live stream, but the problem I had was that I just couldn't do it with that dental work. It was raining down there the whole week, which we get our monsoon rains starting around July 4th, and they continue through the rest of the summer into August. Then they usually quit, and we have lovely Septembers. And late in September, of course, we get the leaf turning. We only have aspen leaves to turn, so that gives us the yellow. All right, Bill Malman, good evening from Gray, Tennessee, AB4P. And a belated happy birthday. I am now 71. Neil Marsh, good evening, Dave, and all from W7NRM in Mount St. Helens country. Hello. Says thanks for doing the video on DX. Yeah, man, you could just do continuing videos on DX. There's just so much to talk about there, but I'm trying to get people more interested in it. The problem that the Augie had at that location was he's in South Dakota. And South Dakota is not a great location for good DX. If you're on the East Coast, you get the European and African and stuff like that. On the West Coast, you can get into Japan and down into Australia and so on. Here in the middle of the country, South America is not too bad, but we have to take special care in order to get the other kind of DX that we might want. So that means you're waiting for DX contests and DXpeditions and things like that, where we can work the DX. And that does work. I mean, people from everywhere in the United States and indeed from everywhere around the world have worked DXCC, which is a ham radio award given by the American Radio Relay League for 100 contacts, confirmed contacts, with 100 entities on the DXCC official list. Most of the entities are countries, but if you look at it, there are some significant exceptions there. For example, Alaska is a separate DXCC entity from the continental United States, as is Hawaii, as is Puerto Rico, as is, the British Virgin Islands, Dominica, one of the Caribbean chain, is definitely a country and so on. So some countries are big, some aren't. You can, there's a DXpedition going to go to Bouvet Island. It's a French territory, I believe. It's basically a rock outside of Antarctica and almost impossible to land on. I mean, it rises straight out of the sea and goes right back down straight into the sea. So, have I ever tried a Moxon antenna for 20 meters? I've never tried a Moxon at all, to tell you the truth. I don't have very many vertical supports, and the Moxon, it's sometimes referred to as a curtain, needs to hang from something up, and it needs some bigger trees than what I've got here. Dave Samsell says, hello, Dave and Augie's Worldwide, AC3HT from northeastern Pennsylvania. And Natalie says, missed you last week. Hope I'm feeling better. I am feeling better, although this mouth thing is not healing. So the burn scar on my leg is healing. So let me tell you a little bit about the setup I've got here. I've got the webcam up here, which is actually a separate webcam because I have a desktop that I built. The monitor is a 4K monitor from LG. And I've got over here OBS. And over here, I'm looking at the Google thing at the same time. Now there is the uplink and downlink. The downlink is Starlink, made by SpaceX. In other words, Elon Musk. I've put some money into Elon Musk's pocket, and I get about 100 megabits per second. It's a very nice download speed, and 10 megabits per second. No. 10 megabits per second up. And I'm looking at here, and it's whining at only 2591 kilobits per second coming out of OGS. This is the big test this week. Last week we had lots of dropouts, but the antenna was out in the backyard and had significant obstructions. Now the satellites move across the sky, and the way this thing works, it actually moves the antenna to follow a satellite across the sky, then intersects with one and comes back the other way, then intersects with another and goes back the other way. The satellites are about 300 miles high, so the hop distance is way less than going to geostationary. So you can use much more interactive types of applications with it. For example, it's great for web browsing. Great when I watch YouTube, if the video's in 4K, it immediately comes up in 4K on the display. It's very nice that way. So it looks at this point that I'm going to keep it, so I'm going to drop my local internet. The local internet actually has a higher uplink speed, but it's iffy, and the downlink speed, of course, was always iffy. And so we're trying the Starlink. Well, actually, we've committed to Starlink. Now, I have told our local ISP provider that he can use my roof as a relay. And I'm going to keep that commitment to him, that he can use my roof as a relay. He's serving quite a few customers he wouldn't otherwise be able to serve because he's using my roof as a relay. So, there we are. Terry 2 Echo 0 India Papa Kilo is here from England. Chuck Schreiber, good evening, Dave, and all Augies, N5 KVO from hot and dry South Texas, currently 96. Woo! Today we had our 55th day over 100 degrees. Wow! Bob Mages, greetings from San Francisco. That's Rob, WB6CEL. John Mills, hi Dave, hope you're feeling better. I am feeling better. Gores Woodworking, hello from KC4CID, Justin. Warren Baker, hi Dave, hope you feel better. I am. Trayford says, Dave, I'm right in the middle of the Braves game. Ah, yes, it is baseball season. We just lost Vin Scully, which is so sad. Of course, he's been retired for quite some time. Vin Scully was the play-by-play announcer for the Dodgers for a million years. And when I first got off my mission and before I went to BYU, I had a job running a courier, running bank checks from banks to processing centers. Had that in the evening and went all over LA. And I stopped, I listened to Dodger baseball. I remember just about every night. Vin Scully has a unique voice and just a wonderful way of talking to people. It just pulls you in. It's very nice. Okay. Greetings from San Francisco. Hi, Dave. Hope you're feeling better. I am. Hello from Tennessee. Warren Baker. Hope you're feeling better. I am. Okay, there's the Braves game. Good evening, Dave. Thanks for encouraging me to continue studying for the extra. He is now KD2LCV/AE. Congratulations, Paul, for getting to the amateur extra, which is right up there at the top and is one of those things that you've really accomplished something when you've got that. I see we're getting pauses on the YouTube. I'm probably going to have to set this OBS to less quality or something. Let's see. 73's from Nebraska, KC0NUK. Track Speed Rail Fan N5QF, Houston, Texas, says thanks, Dave, from George Q, or George G, looking at that wrong. Ed K6SDW, hello again. Greetings from Charlie Mike 98. Neil Marsh, if I never have to have another tooth surgically removed, it'll be too soon. Neil, I agree with you. The thing that is interesting here is that I don't have many left. I have 5 natural teeth, plus there's an old wisdom tooth in here that the dentist said might go ahead and move into position if I yeah, it just by itself, it's always been just sort of stuck up there. It's just, I hate dental work. Treyfert says, never leave a USB cable connected to your IC7300 during lightning. Sounds like somebody had a problem. Chaolin Shi says, greetings from Beijing. How do you do? Thank you for being with us. Do you have a call sign? I know a lot of people would love to talk to China on ham radio. Glenn Martin, hello from far west Missouri area. Thank you, Dave. Have a great evening. N0QFT, Neil Marsh says, Treyfert, oh dear. Yes. James McDonough, all right, Dave, watching from England. DJ Jackson says, hello all. Gore's Woodworking. Trey, that doesn't sound good. Bill Castle says, owie. Rod Mage says it's a bit hard getting old. I will tell you, it's not for sissies. However, I don't have much choice in the matter, as the calendar showed last week when I turned 71. So, yeah. I unhooked power and antenna, but forgot the USB cable. $250 later, and all is good. Well, oh dear. Let's see. I've never come across that particular issue, but it can happen. I had my power, when I had that direct strike, I had my power supply connected to ground by means of a clip lead. And the lightning evaporated the clip lead and did blow out the chip in the power supply. Fortunately, it was a analog power supply. That's all they made at the time. And the chip was $1. I got a new chip, put it in, was done. Okay. I unhooked my antenna before I left home this morning. Had a pretty bad storm roll through. Should be a shop manual for getting old. Yeah. You know where we really need the shop manuals when we get the new ones. You know, you get this crying, screaming, pooping thing with no user's manual. Treyford, I always unhook power and antenna when I'm done. It depends on where you are in the world. If lightning is rare, as it is around here, I leave my station connected all the time because I've got it very well grounded and so on. But I just had a question from a guy in Florida, South Florida, which is the lightning capital of the world. And it's yeah, lightning is nothing to play with. Okay. It could end very badly, that's for sure. Okay, it's difficult getting old, according to Rob. Jeff Harris, howdy from KB8NOU. Jeff in Elkins, West Virginia. Hello and welcome. WCKC0NU K83 in Grand Island, Nebraska. James Totten, hi Dave, I didn't go to the club tonight listening to you. Oh, well, if your club has a, what is it, Zoom, as ours does, you can do both on the screen at the same time, I guess. Robert Brady says, hello, Dave and Augie's Worldwide from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Frank Marks, good evening from Nova Scotia. Hello there. It's your warm time of year right now. Palmetto Flyers, South Carolina, just got my extra a couple weeks ago thanks to your help from K4ZEV. Congratulations. Chelin Shi says, Dave, you also my English teacher. Well, thank you. I hope it helps. I don't think it's helping much tonight because I don't have the proper number of teeth to pronounce my syllables correctly. So, okay. Jeff Harris, also a belated happy birthday. Yeah, 71. I was hoping it would slip by unnoticed. If Poe 238 says, sorry for sending you an entry with the wrong month. Thanks for calling to clarify. Yeah, I got an entry that was postmarked July, and it said that it was for the June. That's why I asked that you provide your phone numbers on your entries. I did call and did ascertain he really did mean July. Okay. Trying to earn DXCC in 100-watt single sideband with homemade wire antennas. It can be done. Okay. WCKC0NUK, Dave, I live in a private community with a bit of an HOA installed. I have my antennas end-fed half-wave. Is it possible to set up this in a small area as something similar to a sky loop? You can put it like in the form of a C or bring it around so it's not a loop but close to a loop. If you get it too close to being a loop, it'll start acting like a loop. But you might want to, and you can zigzag it a bit as it goes down the lot. I would think just sort of loop it around the back lot should work pretty well. You'll have to try it. It may affect the impedance. You might need your tuner. Joe Tyson, hello Dave from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ, 84 Fahrenheit with 71% humidity. And I know what that feels like. If you can keep the air moving, it's okay. And says, hope I get to feeling better. Thank you. If Poe 238 says, also have an HOA and put up a homebrew DX Commander clone. Nobody has said a word. I don't think non-hams recognize it as an antenna. Well, all right. Tell them that it's a piece of art, performance art. Don's in, VN was the goat. Not sure I know what that means. Aaron Dona says, good evening from Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina, KY4HL. Don Zulu said I could listen to Vin Scully describe paint drying. Yes, he, one of a kind, and belongs to the 20th century. And time moves on. And there will be others, but not many like Vin Scully. Jose Pisano says, Oscar Alpha 4, Bravo Alpha Quebec. Hi, Dave from Lima, Peru. Nice to hear from you. Welcome. DJ Jackson, Dave, your stream always brightens my day this much. Thanks. Doug Phelps, good evening, Dave, from Idaho, K7GMD. Taylor Bauman, hello from Minnesota, WB0RSJ, RSJJ. T. Klepper, K3RGN here, good evening. DJ Jackson has pushed that like button. We always have some fewer visitors if I've skipped a session, and I apologize for that. Leo Gustafson from Albany, Oregon, KK4CLY. So glad that you're doing okay. I'm considering a Moxon for 10 meters myself. Certainly do it. Now that the sunspot cycles are moving up a bit, we can get more on these higher bands. And he says I should do something really special when I turn 73. Yes. Hi, Dave Nicholas, VK2XLY from Sydney, Australia. Nice to hear from you. Mark Kottner, hello from Atlanta, from KE0OG, KE0OG NDV. My first live on your channel. Thanks for all you do. Mark, welcome. Usually what we do here is just chat. If people have questions and they put them in the comments, I try to answer the questions. We do a monthly giveaway, and we're going to be doing the July giveaway on the first program in August, which is tonight. And so we do that, and just look at what people have to say to each other. James McDonough, did you ever think lightning, I guess it's not to do with the weather, but some other kind of force? Well, historically, there have been suggestions of supernatural origins and so on. I mean, it's a pretty well studied phenomenon. The way a thunderstorm works, if you look at the hot air down on the earth, it gets cooler as you go up. I can tell you this from flying an airplane up into it without air conditioning or anything like that. The higher you go, the cooler it gets. Well, the problem with warm air is it wants to rise. And so warm air will come together and start to rise in columns. And when those columns hit a certain point in the air, the water starts to condense, forming a cloud. So you've got an updraft of warm air going up. It's a big heat machine. And then the air moves over a little bit and it gets cold. As it gets cold, it starts dropping its moisture as rain, because cold air can contain less water than hot air. And then that starts coming down and you get this incredible downdraft. And the friction of the air, some air going up right next to air going down, creates static electricity, creates tremendous million-volt potential differences between different parts of the cloud and between the cloud and the ground. And that's where lightning comes from. It's actually a voltage difference so high it exceeds the breakdown voltage of air. Air is a dielectric, as you know, and every dielectric has a breakdown voltage. For air, it can be as low as a few hundred volts, although under certain circumstances, by using reactive components, you can get air static, like Van de Graaff generator or something like that, with a lot less. But that's how we get the lightning. And of course, the lightning takes a column of air, and you can actually see this if you look at it in slow motion. It'll build a little leader, sometimes from the ground, sometimes between clouds. It'll build a little leader where it's actually exceeded the breakdown voltage. And then through that conduit, huge electron clouds will come down or up through the conduit, the plasma conduit. And each time it does it, the plasma conduit expands dramatically at greater than the speed of sound. And that's what creates the lightning, or the thunder. The thunder comes from that. And lightning also creates electrical noise, which we hear on our radios. The noise we hear on HF is largely dominated by static from lightning somewhere in the world. Now you may ask, if lightning radiates out like an antenna, can you put a receiver here and a receiver here, do the time difference of arrival, and come up with the location of the lightning? And the answer is absolutely yes, and this is done. So you can tell the direction of lightning and so on. And in our area, when we're having a thunderstorm here, I can look on the internet, and you have to look at lightning visualization or something like that. I don't know, but you find it and you can do some fun types of things. Okay, let's see. Long time say, Andy Schneider. Thank you for all your content and hard work. Woodstock, Illinois, home of Groundhog Day. From K9AWS. Greg May says, I was a maritime radio operator for 8 years, and even though the massive antenna switch had a position for grounding the long wire antennas, they were never grounded, but always isolated. Yes. Warren Baker says it's only 80 here right now. Unfortunately, it's that inside too. My AC is out. Ouch. Life and Death says, Dave, would it be possible to use some transorbs or similar in a USB cable and stop surges and send them to ground? Yes, you can get surge suppressors for USB cables. I can't point to any specific ones, but you can look for those. Dave, my ICOM 746 base radios no longer opens repeaters. It is only very early. However, when I switched the antenna to my handheld, I open up every local repeater there is. Ever come across this problem? Well, the question is your radio suddenly deaf? Or is it not transmitting? Now you can check if it's transmitting by getting with a friend, trying your handheld versus the 746. And, it could be, check the simple things first. Power supply, that the cables are all good, that if there's any switches in the line for antenna switches, that they're all in the right order, that if you're using an outside antenna, is it still in good shape, or did something break on it, and so on. And that will give you an idea of where the problem might be coming from. And I know it's very problematic, but it could possibly be that the front end of your 746 has suffered some sort of a problem. It's become deaf. That would be the first thing going on. The other thing you can do is borrow a watt meter. Actually, any SWR meter will do this, and allow you just to make sure that you're putting out power on the thing. So, yeah, you can test that. Now, the problem, of course, is if you do need to do anything to it, you're probably going to end up having to send it back to ICOM and see what you can do there. Okay, 80 there. Let's see. Domino Storm. It's as if the radio isn't transmitting the PL tones. Well, that could be happening too. It is possible to listen for them. But it would take some specialized setup to do that right there. You could set up your handheld to require the PL tones for receive, and then put your radio down and transmit on the 746 and see if that opens up your handheld. If it does, you know you're transmitting the PL tones. So there's all kinds of little tests that you can do there. Okay, David Ellison says, hello, David. Augie, watch your vids and appreciate them. KQ4, CW in Virginia. Greg May says, by the way, I just turned 71. I'm also a powered paraglider. Maybe you should give it a try. I watch the channel by, well, Judson Graham puts out one, but there's another guy who's a little more famous in putting out paramotor videos, which I really enjoy. But I could never run one. It would have to be one of the little trikes that you can do. And you can do them without a license. If you take a passenger, that requires a license. You have to become a sport pilot. and your airplane becomes a light sport aircraft. I'm working on the classic light sport aircraft. Let me tell you all what I'm planning on doing as soon as this gets healed up. And my written exam is expired July 31st. So I got this. This is the equivalent of the license manual for Sport Pilot, the FAA knowledge test. This is what I used last time, except this is an updated version. So I hope to be through it by the end of this week, and then I'll go up and have the test. Now, you may be asking what's happening to the videos in the meantime, and the answer is not much. I've been working very hard with Callum on getting the technician videos updated. There are subtle updates that need to go into them, and I have discovered that I've made some mistakes, so I am fixing those as I go. And then I'll get back to the videos. I've got so many things to review. I've got a cute little, this is a little shortwave receiver that is supposed to be work more than its weight. I've got this new GD88 from Radioddity. This is DMR plus FM, and actually they won't be releasing it till around the third week in August, so they've asked me not to review it. I have been admiring this Vibroplex bug for a while. There's a lot of genius level things going on in here, all mechanical. And you can look at it and look at the way this thing damps the vibrations exactly, and so on. I discovered from doing this that I realized that mass is a reactive element. It's friction that's the mechanical equivalent of a resistor. Releases heat. You release the heat in friction. It's the friction that absorbs the energy. You've got springs, which are sort of like a capacitance, and you've got mass that has inertia, which is very, very much like inductance. It tends to lag behind its push. And I look at these things, and then I look at this little device as an example of how to use resonance to do something. It's just very cool. I'm going to be putting a video together on that. I've got all kinds of other things here to review. I'm still going to wind those little coils and see if I can make a trap from scratch. If so, I'm going to put that out as the Dave Casler do-it-yourself 40 and 20 meter wire antenna. Okay, let's see. Yeah, as far as paragliders, what is the name of that guy? Let me just go to YouTube. And okay, Tucker Gott does lots of paraglider paraglider stuff. He is one of my subscriptions, and I enjoy watching him. He's young, got a little growing up to do yet, but he's pretty good at what he does. He makes his living at YouTube and with paragliding. And his friend, and now I can't remember his name, I said it just a minute ago, Judson Graham, is trying to do that too. make his life with videos and so on. He's got quite a ways to go, but he's he's got the enthusiasm and the desire to do it. He's just got to, settle into a routine. Okay, let's see. All those years I thought it was Thor. Absolutely. I was told when I was a kid that it was the gods bowling. They had a bowling alley up there, and every time that ball hit the ground, you'd hear the thunder. Okay, let's see. Dave Ellison says hi. Greg May. All these years thought it was there. Here we go. Mike Lukasic. My name is Mike Victor Alpha 3 MD. My question is, as getting older, 75 in November, my eyes are having trouble looking at small parts on the circuit board. How do you get around to see these parts? This won't come all the way around, so I'm going to turn this over here at my workbench. This is a lighted magnifying device. You can get these at Office Depot, and there are times when using that I actually have to get my magnifying glass out and use it to couple with the magnifying lamp, and there's even a little spot down here at the bottom that's extremely high magnification that I can look at. Now when I'm looking at surface mount devices, I have to use a microscope, and there is a microscope. You can see the two eyepieces right there. That's the microscope for looking at surface mount devices. So that's how I get around to doing it. And it's gotten to the point I used to be able to see the screen pretty much from anywhere in here, but I have to use my computer glasses now. So anyway, that's how I see those small parts. Pedro Marias, 1 trill, Marias, from Oxnard, California. Wish you a speedy recovery. Nice to see you. Thank you very much, Pedro. Jeff Wright, hi Dave, studying for my tech test. Can you elaborate what changes were made? I can see the books expired this year. It's already expired. Expired June 30th. Curious on what questions changed, and the answer to that is very little changed. Very little. Now, what they added a touch of stuff here and there. So 3 of the tech videos I'm going to add a few sentences to cover that material. Now, what will have changed will be all the questions that involve numbers. So instead of 3 plus 4 is 7, they'll have 4 minus 6 is minus 2. Something like that. So I would recommend, if you've got the old text, you can go online to the Victor, November Victor Echo, NVEC, the National Volunteer Examiner Coordinator Community Council Cooperation Committee, whatever it is, and get a copy of the new questions if you want. The old book will do you pretty well. Very little has changed. I got a list since I'm doing this kind of, well, the league, the ARRL, is leasing my videos, and with the understanding that I'll keep them up to date. So I have the resources of the league available to me, and I was given a copy of the before and after of the changes, the change list for the new book, and they are indeed minor. Everything is in the same place in the book. They have not done any wholesale changes like putting this section from here and moving it over into another chapter or anything like that. Everything is about where it should be. So I think you will find that very little has changed. Okay. Hi How come my GPS will not charge from a 6-volt car battery, but the GPS will happily take charge from my laptop computer? If it takes it from your laptop computer, there's two possibilities going on. One, it's 5 volts. It's 5 volts, and it likes 5 volts, not 6. You can create a little with a 7805, I think, single chip regulator, convert that to 5 volts. The other possibility is it's USB-C. USB-C is a new kind of universal serial bus. And USB-C, the device doesn't just take the 5 volts from the mother device. It takes the, it negotiates what voltage it's going to get. And it gets the voltage that it wants, which can be as high as 20 volts or even more. So one of those possibly. Make sure your pinout is correct on that, and that you're using the right things. Remember, there are 4 wires in a USB. 2 are for power. The other is a balanced serial bus that goes both ways. Okay. Not church. Oh, James Totten says it was planning meeting tonight, no Zoom. I don't blame you for skipping it. James KI5OEB watched the video of Mount St. Helens erupting, and that is a non-moving version of a thunderstorm. Hot air moving up and lightning coming down. Awesome explanation of lightning. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Yes, James, Tucker got KI5OEB. Anthony Becerra, hi Dave, are you still with Starlink? Yes, this is my second live stream with Starlink, and for some reason I'm not getting much of an uplink right now. It's saying red. Oh well, we'll keep working on it. Okay. You know, I'd rather it have a sharp picture and just put 1 up per second rather than, you know, cutting it off entirely. Tucker got yes on Starlink. Okay. President Finley Bonarriba. Moses K. Frost, hello Dave. I have been watching your YouTube since forever. This is my first time on a live stream. Welcome. I hope we can figure out the settings that we need so it works better on Starlink. It may be lower resolution. It may be fewer frames per second. I mean, we could go down maybe instead of 30 frames a second, we could go down to like 10 or something like that. David K04RNT, hi Dave and all. Harry Rundle says, hi Dave from AC3EK, lost power in the neighborhood due to a massive thunderstorm coming through. Conserving phone power, signing off. Thank you, Harry. We'll see you. Joseph D. KC1LWT, hello all from Boston. William Myers, KAAGIM, hi Dave and all Augies. Sorry I'm late. Was still at work, wanted to say hi. Ralph Leland, hi Dave and everybody, K4TA and Fork Union. Tom Cook, howdy to EKG5AJP. Almost Vegas, finally live from KE0VT. And Phil, KA2QIK, hello from hot, muggy, and powerless Kalamazoo. Ouch. K. Jackson says only USB-C with PD can do 20 volts. Explain the PD part, if you would. Phil is 100% battery power tonight. Almost Vegas. Google W6 NBC slot antennas. Okay. Yeah, slot antennas work. I mean, it's sort of like the negative inverse of an antenna. And it works. It works just fine. Our Liberty plane used to fly over Mount St. Helens shortly after its eruption on its flight path. Devastation was amazing. Yes, it was. Mother Nature every so often has to show us who's boss. Quite a bit of being the last few minutes. Let's see, I wish the audio would stay working as well. Yeah, I know what you mean. Let me go to the settings and see what I can do for video. Output, bitrate, common frames per second. It doesn't allow. Oh, I'll have to change it 1 frames per second. We'll see what we can do with that. Moses K. Frost says, thank you for the welcome, Dave, from SM5/M in Sweden. Hello. Okay, well, it's time for us to do the drawing. These are the cards and letters, so I'm just going to shuffle them. Okay, shuffle them up. They're all shapes and sizes, so I try and get them to kind of come down to the corner here. And then I'm going to stick my finger in the middle and we'll pull one out, and they will be the happy recipients of the KE0OG Smart Digital Multimeter. Oops, I don't want to lose any. Okay, I think that's enough. I mean, they're randomized enough by when they come. Okay, so I'm going to stick a finger in the middle right there, and I'm going to take the one that's right there. And the one that is right there is a card from November to HJU from Dan Lumna, 12 Deer Run Road. Oh, he's in Newfield, New York. Okay, and here is his card. N2HJU. He's in New York, not in the city down here, but out in the, well, there's lots of cities in New York, but I think that area is not a cityfied area. You get up over here by the lake, you get Syracuse and stuff like that. But there is the winner. So, Dan, that's a funny font, Dan Lumna is now the proud owner of the KE0OG digital multimeter, which will go in the mail probably tomorrow. And then the rest of these will go into the shred pile. Now, I do point out that some of you have been kind enough to slip a little something into the envelopes. So I do open every envelope. Okay, because sometimes people have a little, you know, a little note or something, or maybe something a little more than that in there. So I do open every envelope. So thank you all for your support. Now get those cards and letters coming for the prize for August, the giveaway, and it is a giveaway. Okay, the only thing it costs you is the stamp. Okay, and I do not charge, you know, Dan will get this free of, I pay the postage, or rather channel funds pay the postage. Okay, and we'll get that out. This was a meter that was sent to me for review. I get stuff sent to me more than once a month, so there's going to be a never-ending supply of giveaways. So there you have it. So congratulations to Dan. Very good. Let's see. Quite a bit being in the last few minutes, yes. Wish the audio would stay working. I do too. I'm going to go down to 10 frames a second and see what we can do with that. Buffering, yeah, I know. Thought it was just my internet. Now it's on my end. I've got to cut the bandwidth. I bet squirrel can't eat through Heliax coax. You'd be surprised. You know, the actual metal will create a problem, but there's plastic coating on the outside of that for a reason. and it helps keep the water out. Endo Tooth says hello to all. KG4HVQ. Life and Death says USB-CPD will give power distribution up to 30 volts, some over 150 volts. Yeah, it's a nice change. The current can't be very high, but an amp or so. Power delivery, it's a spec that allows more wattage over the bus up to 20 volts, 5 amps. Okay, depends on device rating. Got to run. See everybody later from Donnie King. Neil Marsh says, regarding Mount St. Helens, driving 40 miles back and forth to work in the middle of all that ash was a real treat. Not. I can imagine. Imagine having been on Tonga when that huge volcano went up over there. Geophysicists are still marveling over that thing. Apparently, the ash and gases are still in the air, and some of the beautiful sunsets we're getting are because of the chemicals released by the ash. Also, although the surface of the volcano was at sea level, by the time it had finished erupting, the caldera was hundreds of meters down. So a great big chunk of water got thrown up in the atmosphere too, all the way into the stratosphere. Normally there isn't weather in the stratosphere, but it got a big hunk of water thrown into it, and that all has to settle out. Okay, congratulations to N2HJU. Congratulations to Dan. Question, if I'm kind of handy, do you think I can make a vertical wire fan dipole and copy the DX commander? Yes, people have done so. Recommendations on wire, I'd pick some sort of stranded wire, maybe 16 gauge. See what you can get down at Home Depot. Stranded wire, because it's just so much easier to work with. The vertical pole is the problem. The vertical pole has to be non-metallic. Okay? So plastic, in other words, or fiberglass or something like that. Make sure that the resin used in the fiberglass doesn't have carbon in it. Let's see. I used a Jacquite pole I bought on Amazon. Okay, and congratulations to Dan. Mike Lukasik. On your draws, would you ship to Canada? Thank you for a great video channel. The policy on being out of country is that if you're out of country and you win, you have to pay the postage, because it can be ridiculous to ship things across the border. It doesn't make any business sense, but it is very expensive. That's why I normally say for U.S. hams, shipping to Europe isn't too bad. Surprisingly, it's less than to Canada, but we'll see. On it, how long of a pole? 10 meters, 30 feet, yeah. Let's see, 32 feet, he says. Thanks. It's working now. It's working. Seems Dave's view the chat is lagging considerably. It is. It is. As of Rev 3.1, the spec allows 230 watts. That's a lot of watt. Somebody else says 240. Good show. Glad to see that you're getting better. I'm trying. Krakatoa caused the year without summer around 1100 AD. There was a year without summer in the early 1800s and another one in the late 1800s or early 1900s, which was from Krakatoa again. The volcano puts a lot of ash into the upper atmosphere, which reflects sunlight. The albedo of the Earth changes. The albedo, A-L-B-I-D-O, albedo, of the atmosphere is the reflectivity of the Earth's atmosphere. Obviously, clouds reflect more than water. Ice reflects more than water. This is a problem in the Arctic because the ocean now is dark in the summer, so that just doubles the amount of heating that it gets. Iceland ice is melting pretty quickly, and some places, some low-lying places like Miami and San Francisco and so on, are having trouble with what they call king tides. Tides are a product of the moon's gravitational pull. The moon basically pulls a tide all the way around the Earth. And the way these things work, there's a counter tide on the other side of the Earth. So it pulls those two tides around the Earth. Well, when the sun and the moon line up, you get what's called a king tide. It's an extra high tide. And they're already having problems in a number of places with the king tides coming in and flooding roads to the depth of a few inches and so on. You don't really want to drive your car through that because you get salt water everywhere. And salt water is highly corrosive to an ordinary automobile. Anyway, what's going to happen, there's a city, I think Jakarta in Indonesia is very low. There's a country called Vanuatu where the highest point is about 6 feet above sea level. And they're thinking of either building up by importing material or by purchasing a, let me just hide user on this channel. Okay. By purchasing some land somewhere, an island from some other country, so they can move their entire population of whatever it is, 70,000 or something, to the new island and just let the sea reclaim their original island. So, yeah, okay. Single wire, not speaker wire. Single speaker wire will work as a great antenna. There's nothing wrong with that. That'll work. Okay, ham radio hef says howdy y'all. Okay, I guess I could split speaker wire. That would work. Here come the spammers, scammers. Yes, I dumped them. I dumped them out. Got our one and only addition to channel funds from Optical Man Jeff. KE0OG. Thank you very much. He says, thanks, Dave, for the DX video. Get well. Take care. Split speaker wire does work quite well. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to wrap this up a little bit early tonight. This still is very sore on the inside. And we have done the giveaway. We've announced the giveaway for August. It's this very cool little RSPDX. It's an all-band receiver from 1 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz. So incredibly wideband receiver. And there are lots of things you can do with it. It's got a nice metal case on it, whereas mine is plastic. But I think I'm going to replace this one with the Duo. It actually has 2 receivers in it. And ham radio hef sent $4.99. Got my extra a few months back thanks to you and other ham YouTubers. Thanks. You're certainly welcome. Thank you, Elmer Casler. I appreciate it very much. So I'm going to wrap up early. I'm very sorry to those who tend to tune in late that I'm going to go retreat to where I can get that miracle mouthwash that they gave me. It's a combination of 3 chemicals, one of which is a strong antiseptic, and the others are just, you know, kind of creamy, nice things to make it feel good. And the problem is the gums, not the jaw, at least as far as I know. As far as I know, there's not a problem with the jaw. Okay, snow in West Virginia. Well, it can snow about anywhere. I have a sister in Las Vegas, and when it snows there, every 5 years or so, they simply shut the city down. I mean, they have no equipment to remove the snow, so they just shut everything down. James KI5OEB drops $2 into the chat revenue. Thank you very much. Seems like Greenland melting faster lately. Yeah, we don't have real good data on the past, but they do ice cores all the way down to the bedrock, and they can go back thousands of years and look at the ice records from that. IFPO 238 put $5 into the chat revenue. Thank you very much. Says thank you for all you do for amateur radio. Mark Kottner joined Patreon tonight. Thank you, Dave. I'll put in my first entry for the giveaway this week. 73 and feel better. Glenn Martin, thank you for all you do. Have a great week. 73 and 0 QFT. Joe Tyson, the problem with some wire is stretch. Yes. Soft copper, such as used in house wire, will stretch. You can put in hard copper wire, but it's a lot more expensive. And I will tell you that the average half-life of an antenna around my place here is maybe a couple of years. So before it stretches very much, I changed it. So, all right. Thank you so much, and thank you for the birthday greetings and for all of that. So I'm going, well, I'm going to say 73 and end the stream, and we will see you guys next week.